Here we go. So you do have to disconnect the ECU plugs. And this bracket here is out. Opening those two fasteners. Wiring is partially out of our way. That's what we want. Now let's get to the shifting cables. There are two of them right here. You gotta be very gentle not to break these clips. You're gonna pull these clips off. You don't have to completely pull them off, but mine came off anyway. And then slide the shifter cable out. This one, pull it up like that. I'm gonna remove this clutch sleeve. Next, let's open the starter motor. So the starter motor has one bolt here. The second one is from the transmission side, right here. There we go. Next, I'm just gonna open all these transmission bolts. You got 1, 2, and 3 right here. Then we're gonna remove these here. Next thing is we're gonna take out this side axle. To do that, you're gonna remove the lower ball joint bolt, the outer tie rod end bolt, and then pop the ball joint out. After, you gotta remove the axle bolt, and then axle is held by this clip. Goes over like this. Take this off, and the axle and the bearing, like this, will slide out. Then you gotta go remove the passenger side axle. You have to do the same thing. Remove the bolt for the lower ball joint and the tie rod. So now on top, we're gonna remove the transmission mount. It's held by 2 bolts here, 2 bolts here, 1 bolt in the center, and this is how things stack up. You're gonna need the top brace first, then you're gonna pick up the mount. After that, the bottom bracket is mounted to the transmission with these 3 bolts here. These are 19mm. Take those off, and this will come off. There you go. Well, at this point, I have the engine sitting on a jack. Transmission is free, because I still have to remove the transmission bolts from this side, which is actually from the engine side. You gotta look inside from the axle side and take the bolt off there. Then we got 2 bolts here and then 1 bolt in front. You gotta remove those. Then I'll put a transmission jack and pull it out. Here we go. So here we are. You have on top, you got 1, 2, and 3 bolts to get the transmission off. And let's say if you're trying to remove the top bolts from the top and the bottom one from the bottom, and you want to separate them, then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts you should have from top. This bolt and this bolt here should be from the starter side. I'm sorry, axle side. And when it comes down here, you got 1, 2, and 3 bolts there. What I did was I removed the lower mount completely out of the way, so it helped me drop the transmission. When it comes to the wheel clutch, I notice when I spin the actual shaft, I can hear a sounds like a shaft bearing gone. Another thing is there was no oil in the transmission. When I took the transmission off and drained it, nothing came out. So it's probably very... I don't like the way this sounds. It sounds like a bearing problem. So you want to check these things before putting the clutch and shoving the trans back in. Make sure everything is good. Anyway, the clutch. Here's the clutch. The disc is worn out, so I got the old clutch out, and you can see the old clutch has seen better days. This is the throwout bearing, and you can see how smooth it is. Now, this customer had two noises coming from his transmission. We had one coming from the throwout bearing, right here. Hear that? Second, from the transmission bearing. This transmission has no oil. So what happens when you neglect the oil level? Hear that? Excessive grinding. So I'm not going to open this up right now. I have another transmission. Customer ended up taking that one, so I will install that. To remove the old clutch, you have to remove these 10mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This will free your flywheel, clutch pressure plate. You take that out and the disc falls off by itself. To install the new one, you're going to use the alignment tool. Install the disc using the alignment tool right here, and it will hold the disc inside the flywheel for you. And then you can, with the other hand, apply the pressure plate and hand tighten these 10mm bolts. Now, you have to tighten these 10mm bolts back up to the spec. Make sure the entire clutch engagement plates, and after you tighten everything, you can basically feel them. And if there is one section that's higher or lower than the other, that simply means you did not torque down that bolt properly. So you go ahead and get to that bolt, and you would notice everything comes back to sync. So here's what I mean. You see how flat everything is? All right, so when I go to tighten it, you will notice, and I'll show you how raised it is. Another thing you want to do, you want to make sure this gap is even all around when you're installing your clutch, because if it isn't, your transmission will take forever to be installed. It will not line up and you will have a lot of problems. Number one example is right here. Take a look. See if you can tell the difference. And if you can't, I'm going to tighten it and then you will see. So all these have to be perfectly even. Put your hand on it, feel it. I feel like this side here needs to be torqued down more, but I'll do my torque specs and I'll be right back. Here we go. So you can see how the plate is perfectly aligned. That is how it needs to be. So once you torque this down, you gotta add grease to this and to your transmission. And then put a grease onto all the pins. Make sure your transmission slides in better when you install it back in. It's gonna be fun. So I got the transmission in and I got those temporary bolts put on. To install the transmission, I'm using this regular floor jack here. I did not want to use transmission jack. And you can lift the transmission from the center right there. And that should be able to line the transmission for you. You don't want to force the transmission by using bolts. You're going to hand guide it. So lift it up and shake it in place. If you install the disc correctly, this should slide in within a few minutes. Very easily. Also, you have to lubricate stuff. But if you did not align the disc, it's going to give you a little bit of trouble. After you get your transmission bolts done, you're going to try to install the mount. 4 bolts and the mount. So you can hold the transmission by the mounts now. Remove all your jacks. Push and slide and lock in these cables. And you can see how they're connecting. Make sure after that, you slack this in place so they don't slide open. Now, I'm going to finish everything on top before I go down. And there's a starter motor bolt right here. You're going to install that bolt there. And then there's a harness to plug 2 of the sensors here. After that, you're going to connect one of the ground, which is hidden, but you have to. It's right here. That ground has to be connected from top. Once you do all this, let's go ahead and we're going to drop in the battery cover. Make sure the bolts line up. Put those bolts back in. Those are 10mm ones. Here you go. And then the battery cover has this, you can drop in place like that. The tray cover. We're going to drop the battery. I'm not going to connect that. Right now I'll go underneath, connect all the stuff underneath, slide the axles, and put the hub assembly back in. And that's what it takes to replace the clutch or a transmission on your Mazda 3. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next video. Take care. Bye.